The entire class can hear the thoughts of the beautiful class flower. During military training, when I requested leave due to dysmenorrhea, she merely shook her head and sighed. What should I do? Should I reveal that Bai Shuang is feigning illness? If exposed, it would bring trouble to the entire class and result in punishment from the instructor. Upon hearing this, the instructor truly believed I was pretending to be ill and, as a consequence, imposed a collective punishment on the whole class, requiring us to run 30 laps. And the aftermath, I found myself ostracized by my classmates. When I applied for financial aid due to my family's hardships, she secretly ridiculed me. Her family is not poor at all. They own a car and a house. IT is her vanity that drives her to deceive and claim financial assistance for an iPhone, leaving genuinely impoverished students at a loss for the aid they deserve. After hearing her words, everyone tacitly chose not to select me. Unable to secure the financial aid, I had no choice but to juggle 3 part-time jobs to make ends meet, resulting in severe exhaustion that triggered a heart condition. Desperately, I cried out for my classmates to summon an ambulance, yet her thoughts echoed in my mind. She does not truly have a heart condition. She is pregnant and intends to deceive someone into taking her to the hospital for an abortion, all the while framing that person for her predicament. My classmates steered clear of me, watching helplessly as I succumbed to my heart ailment in the classroom. Even in death, I remained oblivious to the reasons behind my tragic fate. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day of military training, plagued by dysmenorrhea. Little did the beautiful class flower know, this time I could hear her thoughts as well. One beneath the shade of a tree, I pressed my hands firmly against my abdomen as I sat on the grass. Before me, my classmates were enduring military training under the blistering sun. With heads held high, chests out, and marching in unison, every action was meticulously perfected by our instructor. In my previous life, I had been immersed in the joy of embarking on a new chapter at university, completely oblivious to the fact that the very individuals before me would become the architects of my demise. As I had anticipated, in the next moment, the inner thoughts of the class flower, Yi Qingqing, echoed in my mind. What should I do? Should I tell everyone that Bai Shuang is feigning illness? If exposed, it will bring punishment upon the entire class from the instructor. I raised my gaze to the front, where Yi Qingqing was leading, not missing the malice etched across her face. Just this noon, I saw her enjoying ice cream. How could she possibly be suffering from menstrual cramps? The instructor has been watching her closely. Perhaps he has already discerned her ruse. The moment I averted my eyes, I caught the instructor frowning in my direction. With a stern expression, he commanded the class to rest in place and strode towards me. In my past life, Yi Qingqing had employed the same deceitful tactic, using only thoughts audible to the class to fabricate lies, inciting the instructor to suspect I was feigning illness, resulting in the entire class being punished with 30 laps around the playground. Unable to blame the instructor, my classmates directed their ire towards me, collectively isolating and subjecting me to silent bullying. At that time, I believed it was my fault for taking a leave of absence that had led to the class's suffering, and I endured in silence. It wasn't until my rebirth that I realized the machinations of Yi Qingqing were at play behind the scenes. Little did she know. This time, I could hear her thoughts. The instructor stood before me, his voice sharp. Bai Shuang, all 47 students in the class are toiling through training. Yet you choose to feign illness and shirk your responsibilities. Do you not feel ashamed? I replied softly, Instructor, I am not pretending. I genuinely feel unwell. The instructor scoffed. I see through your little charade. I have encountered many like you who suddenly claim to be in pain during military training. Today, I shall teach you the meaning of collective honor. The entire class will run 30 laps around the playground. You will not rest until it is completed, including you. Fall back in line. Upon hearing this, my classmates glared at me with indignation. Ugh, troublemaker. You're comfortable while we all suffer because of you. If you're in so much pain, why aren't you collapsing from it to spare us? Silently, I returned to the ranks, concealing a U-shaped hairpin in the palm of my hand as I adjusted my clothing. As I ran, I pressed the hairpin viciously against the inner side of my thigh, sending sharp pain coursing through me, a warm trickle running down my leg. Noticing my slowing pace, the instructor dashed to my side. See? They are being punished because of your feigned illness. Are you not ashamed? I bit my lip, desperately jabbing the hairpin into my wound. Bai Shuang, do you realize your mistake? Just as I was about to respond, a classmate running beside me suddenly screamed. Ah, Bai Shuang is bleeding. There's blood everywhere. The instructor sneered, trying to feign illness again. In the next moment, the instructor noticed the long trail of blood behind me, my pants already stained crimson and dripping. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the instructor's face change dramatically, and with my eyes closing, I collapsed to the ground. 2. When I regained consciousness, I found myself in the infirmary. The platoon leader was pressing the instructor to apologize to me. Classmate Bai, this incident was a misunderstanding. Instructor Zhang wrongfully accused you. I will ensure he apologizes before the entire class to restore your reputation. I lowered my head. Platoon leader, there is no need for an apology. I wish to change instructors. He had hastily concluded that I was feigning illness based on a few words from Yi Qingqing. Such a person does not deserve to be an instructor. The platoon leader nodded in agreement without hesitation. The instructor, pale and desperate to plead his case, was silenced by a mere glance from the platoon leader. Once I had recuperated, the platoon leader personally escorted me back to class, restoring my reputation and publicly demanding an apology from the instructor. The instructor, filled with regret, said, Classmate Bai, I should not have wrongfully accused you of feigning illness. I am sorry. I nodded, accepting his apology in silence. Just as the instructor sighed in relief, the platoon leader's voice rang out, Zhang Cheng, your baseless punishment of a student has caused a grave error. Orders have been issued from above. You are dismissed. I was taken aback. I had thought the instructor would merely face a reprimand upon returning to his unit, never expecting he would be expelled, unable to serve as a soldier again. This signified the end of his future. The instructor realized this too, but dared not blame me, nor could he confront the platoon leader. In a fit of rage, he seized Yi Qingqing by the wrist and shouted, Wretched girl. If it weren't for your claims that Bai Shuang was feigning illness, I would never have punished her. You are the one who caused my dismissal. Yi Qingqing struggled in fear. I don't understand what you are saying. Let go of me. Do not try to deny it. Don't think I'm unaware. Since the first day of training, you have been glaring at Bai Shuang with malice. How can you claim you didn't intend for me to target her? This accusation struck like a thunderclap, and those who could hear Yi Qingqing's thoughts believed him. In that moment, I recalled how she had often glared at me with a fierce intensity, as if wishing for my demise. No wonder we had only heard her speak ill of me. It was born from jealousy. The instructor, hearing these words, became even angrier, gripping Yi Qingqing's neck. Wretched girl, you shall pay for this. The scene descended into chaos, but thankfully, the platoon leader called for others to intervene, pulling the instructor away. As he was dragged away, he continued to shout, Wretched girl, you will regret this. I will not let it go. Yi Qingqing's expression shifted rapidly, shooting me several furious glares, her face a mask of humiliation. I chuckled inwardly. This was merely the beginning, and she was already breaking down. The new instructor took great care of me, advising me to inform him if I felt unwell. I nodded in agreement, determined to complete the military training. Initially swayed by Yi Qingqing's insidious whispers, my classmates gradually altered their views of me. A few even approached me privately to apologize for their accusations of feigning illness that day. I graciously forgave them, pretending I had not taken the matter to heart. As for Yi Qingqing, the pain of isolation and silent bullying that I had endured in my past life was now hers to experience. As the military training concluded, the days swiftly arrived for applying for poverty assistance. In my previous life, when I had applied for the poverty scholarship, Yi Qingqing had maliciously used her thoughts to claim that I was a rich second-generation heir, asserting that even my flip-flops cost 58,000, and if I received the assistance, I would squander it on an iPhone. The counselor believed her, justifying her decision by claiming that others were in greater need, thereby awarding the scholarship to someone else. My monthly allowance was merely 200 yuan. Without the poverty assistance, I had to juggle 3 part-time jobs to make ends meet. Ultimately, I became overwhelmed and suffered a heart attack from exhaustion. I withdrew from my thoughts and raised my eyes to see the students applying for poverty assistance taking turns to approach the podium, sharing their family hardships and requesting votes in their favor. Soon it was my turn. Just as I was about to speak, Yi Qingqing's thoughts intruded. Here she comes. Bai Shuang is about to play the victim. She is clearly a rich second-generation heir with several rental properties. Yet she pretends to be poor to buy the newly released iPhone 17. The expressions of my classmates shifted drastically. Their gazes turned hostile. Yi Qingqing's thoughts continued to prattle on. If Bai Shuang, such a person, were to obtain the poverty scholarship, what would happen to the truly impoverished students? Without this funding, they might not even complete their university studies. Is Bai Shuang's conscience not troubled for prioritizing her vanity by purchasing an iPhone over the education of those truly in need? The counselor's face darkened as he interrupted me. Bai Shuang, I do not perceive your family circumstances to be so dire. This year's poverty scholarship shall be allocated to other students. Unfazed, I produced my poverty certificate. Sir, I possess a community poverty certificate that attests to my family's genuine struggles. Like everyone else, I require this scholarship. As I noticed the counselor's expression soften, I retrieved my worn-out secondhand phone, taking 3 minutes to access the order page on a discount website. Teacher, if you doubt me, you may peruse my expenditures from the past 6 months, I asserted, lifting my phone in one hand while deftly scrolling through the screen. The items displayed were modest. A dress for $99 with free shipping, trousers for $59, shoes for a mere $3, and socks priced at $10 for 10 pairs. The only expense exceeding $100 was for my mobile phone recharge. The counselor, evidently taken aback by the sheer extent of my financial situation, stared at the bill in astonishment for several seconds. The rest of my classmates wore expressions of disbelief. One fellow student, who had also applied for financial aid, blurted out, "Can you actually wear a dress that costs $99? I gestured towards my worn, faded attire with pilling sleeves and nodded affirmatively. Indeed, it is wearable. The glances of my classmates shifted once more, this time directed with scorn towards Yi Qingqing. Yi Qingqing's face froze, her inner thoughts echoing, "Ah." I never anticipated Bai Shuang to be so cunning, having prepared her expenditure records in advance. Regrettably, her shoes betrayed her. They are from a luxury brand in Paris. Reportedly a limited edition, costing $58,000 for a single pair. As the crowd's gaze fell upon my sandals, some classmates took out their phones to photograph and search for the brand. Upon confirming Yi Qingqing's assertion, indignation rippled through the group. Bai Shuang, your shoes alone could cover our living expenses for 4 years. Why then do you compete with us for financial aid? The speaker was another student applying for assistance. The counselor's expression soured. Bai Shuang, a student of such dubious character, is unworthy of being in our class. I calmly interjected, "Teacher, I can explain." The counselor, visibly irritated, cut me off. "Explain what? I have already verified that your shoes are authentic. I, as a university instructor, cannot afford shoes costing $58,000. How dare you claim to be impoverished?" A few other students chimed in. "Bai Shuang, with your wealth, you should not compete with us for financial aid. Without this money, we will have no choice but to drop out and work." They encircled me, as if my dissent would prevent my departure. Witnessing this scene, my expression darkened as I pondered how to respond when a knock at the door interrupted. An elderly woman, dressed in tattered clothing, stood awkwardly at the entrance, clutching a snakeskin bag filled with items. Upon seeing her, several classmates waved her off impatiently. What is a beggar doing here? This is a university, not a garbage dump. Her stench is unbearable. Where are the security guards to remove her? I hesitated for a moment, then pushed past those blocking my way and approached her with genuine surprise. "Grandma, what brings you here?" The entire class exchanged skeptical glances between me and the elderly woman. From her pocket, she retrieved a small bag filled with coins, each piece a meager denomination, none exceeding 50. Yet, this money represented several months of her labor from selling recyclables. Shuang, I couldn't give you any living expenses when you came to school. This is my earnings from selling scrap this month. Please take it for your living expenses. And don't lose it." My heart ached, and I attempted to push the money back towards her. "Grandma, please, I don't need it. I have applied for financial aid, and I will receive funds soon." Her face lit up with excitement as she hurried to the counselor, grasping her hand in gratitude. "You must be Shuang's teacher. Thank you for providing her with financial aid. Shuang is a child of misfortune. Her parents perished in an accident shortly after her birth, and I have raised her by collecting refuse." She continued, "I was worried my earnings wouldn't be enough for her living expenses, but now with the financial aid, she can have a proper meal. Teacher, you are truly a good person." Before the counselor could respond, Yi Qingqing's thoughts echoed once more. Oh no. The teacher is about to be deceived. She is not Bai Shuang's grandmother. She is an actress, Bai Shuang hired. They don't even resemble each other. How could they possibly be related? Bai Shuang is indeed resorting to extreme measures for financial aid. The crowd murmured again, scrutinizing the incongruity between me and the elderly woman. Some whispered, Bai Shuang and her grandmother have such different faces. How could they be kin? Is it possible Bai Shuang truly hired someone to act? These wealthy individuals are increasingly parsimonious. They will resort to any means for money. Yi Qingqing stood among the throng, reveling in my predicament as the crowd began to doubt me. The counselor extracted her hand from the grandmother's grasp, disappointment etched on her features. Bai Shuang, did your elementary school teachers not instruct you on the value of honesty? If you wish to receive financial aid, why not apply with integrity? You fabricated expenditure records, and now you resort to theatrics. Do you hold me, your teacher, in such low regard? The grandmother, bewildered and helpless, protested, Teacher, I am truly Shuang's grandmother. She has not deceived you. The counselor paid no heed to the grandmother's words, her icy gaze fixed upon me. Bai Shuang, your repeated lies and lack of sincerity disqualify you from being a student at our institution. In the name of the counselor, you are expelled. Now leave our school. The grandmother, filled with panic, dropped to her knees, tears welling in her eyes. Teacher, Shuang has not lied. I implore you, do not expel her. I gritted my teeth and pulled her up. Grandma, do not kneel. We must go. The grandmother clutched me, her face streaked with tears. You worked so hard to gain admission to university. You cannot leave. If you do, your life will be over. TSK. Bai Shuang never anticipated that her schemes would backfire. Did she? She deserves it. Thank goodness the counselor is astute enough to see through her facade. The counselor's initial resolve to let the matter slide evaporated, her gaze toward me and the grandmother now rife with disdain. Have 2 students remove them. I cannot allow their presence to taint our class's environment. Several classmates stepped forward, dragging me and the grandmother toward the exit. Just then, the principal rushed in with a group of individuals. Lu, where is your student Bai Shuang? Call her out. The counselor, perplexed, hesitated but then seemed to recall something, her expression shifting to one of servility. Principal, there's no need for you to intervene. I have already expelled her. The principal's shock was palpable, his voice rising in disbelief. What did you say? You expelled Bai Shuang? The counselor, brimming with pride, replied, Indeed. Bai Shuang concealed her family circumstances to apply for financial aid and even hired someone to act. Such behavior tarnishes our school's reputation. She is no longer a student here, and her actions are no concern of ours. While the counselor reveled in her perceived triumph, she failed to notice the principal's growing fury as he forcefully thrust a stack of newspapers into her face. Who authorized you to expel her? Open your eyes and see this. The counselor, bemused, examined the papers. Principal, this is merely a regular newspaper. What is there to see? The principal, nearly choking with rage, pointed to a photo occupying a third of the page. Look closely. Do you recognize her? Upon realizing the identity of the individual in the photograph, the counselor's expression shifted dramatically. How is this Bai Shuang? When did she become the sole university student from Daliangshan in nearly 2 decades? A journalist accompanying the principal interjected. We just received news that Bai Shuang has enrolled at your esteemed institution. We specifically came to interview her. The counselor, still skeptical, retorted, I believe this news is false. Bai Shuang cannot possibly be from Daliangshan. The journalists exchanged glances, perplexed. How do you know? The counselor sneered. Bai Shuang is adorned in luxury brands, while Daliangshan is notoriously impoverished. If she truly hails from there, where would she have acquired such wealth? Furthermore, individuals of her ilk do not deserve interviews. She clearly hails from a family of privilege, masquerading as impoverished to deceive for financial aid. Had I not intervened, she would have usurped the opportunity from those genuinely in need. The journalists frowned slightly. That cannot be. Bai Shuang's educational expenses have been waived by the school due to her excellent academic performance. Even the fare for my journey to university was generously contributed by each villager, who donated a mere 1 yuan. The counselor, with a self-righteous demeanor, proclaimed, You have all been deceived. Just look at her shoes, which cost 58,000. Even I cannot afford such extravagance. How could she possibly be a poor student from Daliangshan? Following the direction of the counselor's finger, all eyes turned towards my footwear. The reporter, visibly perplexed, acknowledged the truth of my origins from Daliangshan, yet my shoes hardly appeared to be a fabrication. After a moment's hesitation, the reporter inquired, Student Bai, where did you acquire your shoes? My grandmother gave them to me, I replied. At my words, the counselor's eyes gleamed with triumph. Did you hear that? The shoes were gifted by her grandmother, which indicates that her family is not impoverished. She is merely fabricating lies to deceive us for financial aid. The expressions of everyone shifted, with classmates glaring at me in righteous indignation, as if I were indeed a villain. The principal and the reporter, however, wore expressions of disapproval. Student Bai, as a scholar, it is unbecoming to lie. My grandmother, filled with anxiety, opened her mouth to speak, but was interrupted by my gesture. I calmly pointed to the snakeskin bag beside her. Today, my grandmother also brought me some other clothes and shoes. You may take a look and if you fancy any, feel free to take them. The ever-silent Yi Qingqing let out a cold laugh. Bai Shuang, Your family must indeed be wealthy to casually store thousands of yuan worth of items in a mere snakeskin bag. I turned to her, a knowing smile playing on my lips. Since you admire them so much, I shall gift them all to you. Upon hearing my words, envy and urgency flashed across my classmates' faces, while some gazed at me with longing. Yet, in the next moment, all expressions turned to stone. I inverted the snakeskin bag and emptied its contents onto the ground. Each item was a designer piece, yet unmistakably worn, with several pairs of shoes caked in thick mud. The reporter, quick on the draw, snapped a flurry of photos of the scattered items. Once done, she curiously asked student by, "Why are all these clothes and shoes worn?" "These were recently salvaged by my grandmother from a refuse heap," I stated, leaving everyone in stunned silence. "No way, Bai Shuang actually wears discarded items?" My grandmother hurriedly clarified. "These clothes and shoes are still in good condition. They merely need a wash." The reporter, with a complex expression, probed, student by, "Are you suggesting that all your clothing is from the rubbish?" "No," I replied. Yi Qingqing and the counselors' faces brightened momentarily, eager to accuse me. But their smiles froze as I continued. In addition to what my grandmother retrieved from the refuse, some were generously donated by kind-hearted individuals. I lifted my foot to display my shoes. These shoes were indeed donated by a benevolent person. I recall reading about it online. The reporter, upon hearing this, immediately searched on her phone and quickly located the donation news. Upon comparison, she discovered that my shoes were identical to those donated. My classmates, witnessing this, directed their ire towards Yi Qingqing and the counselor. My grandmother, wiping her tears, sighed in bitterness. "Shuang Shuang, it's all my fault for insisting you wear these shoes because they looked nice. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't face expulsion." The expressions of everyone shifted, while the reporters remained in a state of confusion. "Grandmother, what do you mean? Why would student Bai be expelled over these shoes?" My grandmother, filled with anger, pointed at the counselor. He claimed that Shuang Shuang wears brand-name shoes, thus she cannot be a poor student. Not only did he deny her the financial aid, but he also sought to expel her. Kneeling before the principal and reporters, she wept, "Principal, Shuang Shuang has not lied. I implore you not to expel her. She is the only university student from Daliangshan, and the entire village hopes she can complete her education and secure a good job. Please." The reporter hastily captured this poignant scene. The principal's face turned pale. If this incident were mishandled, it would surely tarnish his reputation. Contemplating this, his expression darkened. Not directed at my grandmother, but at the counselor. He helped my grandmother to her feet, repeatedly assuring her that I would not be expelled. After calming her, the principal fixed an angry glare at the counselor. "Zhang Guiqing, you are merely a counselor. Who granted you the authority to expel students at will?" The reporter pressed on. "Mr. Zhang, are you targeting student Bai Shuang?" The counselor, drenched in cold sweat, stammered, unable to utter a word. At that moment, he spotted Yi Qingqing in the crowd. It was she who claimed Bai Shuang as a rich second-generation student, pretending to be poor to deceive for financial aid. I was misled by her. Yiving, taken aback by the counselor's accusation, turned pale, yet quickly donned a look of feigned innocence. "Teacher, I never said such a thing. You cannot shift the blame onto me." The counselor retorted, "Last time, you incited the instructor against Bai Shuang, causing the instructor to be dismissed. I only believed you because I was careless." Yi Qingqing, indignant, shot back, "It was you who looked down upon Bai Shuang and her grandmother for their poverty. Everyone saw you say her grandmother polluted the air and wanted her expelled." Their heated exchange continued, each blaming the other. The reporter seized the moment, the camera almost pressed against their faces. It was only the principal's intervention that finally quelled their dispute. He surveyed both Yi Qingqing and the counselor before declaring coldly, "Zhang Guiqing, you have violated school regulations by expelling a student at will. Effective immediately, you are dismissed." The counselor's face drained of color. The principal, disinterested in his plight, turned to Yi Qingqing. "Yi Qingqing, you have slandered others and will receive a demerit." Just as she was about to protest, the frigid gaze from the principal silenced her, leading her to glare at me with fury. After addressing the counselor, the principal publicly announced that the financial aid would be granted to me. Other students applying for aid, upon realizing my genuine need, accepted the outcome with grace. That evening, the largest television station in the province broadcasted this incident along with interviews of me, drawing widespread attention. My story resonated with many, and soon, kind-hearted individuals reached out to offer their support for my education. I did not refuse. With their assistance, I no longer needed to juggle 3 jobs to make ends meet and could devote time to care for my grandmother. It was during this time that I learned my grandmother had traveled over 30 hours on a low-cost train to find me. Concerned for her safety on the return journey, I convinced her to stay. My grandmother rented a basement near the school and scavenged for bottles to sustain herself. On weekends, I would work to alleviate her burdens. A month passed swiftly. With a new counselor, Yi Qingqing's sinister whispers had ceased. Just when I thought I would be free from her machinations, the gazes of my classmates shifted once more. During a study session, as I was engrossed in my book, I suddenly felt a pang of discomfort in my heart. As I reached for my medication, I realized I could not find it despite carrying it with me daily. As my heart discomfort escalated, I took out my phone to call for an ambulance. To my dismay, the phone suddenly froze and would not respond. Sensing something was amiss, I tapped my desk mate, hoping he would help me call for assistance. Just as I opened my mouth, a sharp pain seized my heart, causing me to collapse onto the floor. My desk mate, panic-stricken, rushed to support me. Bai Shuang, what's wrong? Are you alright? I struggled to say, I'm having a heart attack. Please call an ambulance. My desk mate was just about to pull out his phone when Yi Qingqing's malicious thoughts echoed unexpectedly. Bai Shuang is trying to deceive us again. She doesn't have a heart condition. She is 2 months pregnant and wants to manipulate us into taking her to the hospital, hoping to pin the pregnancy on someone else. Anyone who offers to take her to the hospital will be ensnared by her. Following the previous events, my classmates were skeptical of Yi Qingqing's claims. Yet a lingering fear gripped them, wondering if this time it could be genuine. Yi Qingqing, discerning their hesitation, unleashed her malevolent thoughts once more. If you don't believe me, you can check the restroom. Bai Shuang threw the pregnancy test stick in there. Upon hearing this, several students immediately left the classroom. Shortly after, they returned, their faces etched with a frightening gloom. Bai Shuang, enough of your charade. We all saw the pregnancy test stick you discarded in the toilet. Do not attempt to foist the child growing within you onto us. You are utterly shameless, engaging in reckless behavior while trying to ensnare us. I wished to protest my innocence, yet my heart ached so fiercely that I could utter not a single word. The entire class wore expressions of disappointment. If you wish to pretend, do so alone. With that, they rose as one and departed. In the blink of an eye, the once bustling classroom was left with only me and Yi Qingqing. Gasping for breath, I struggled to meet her gaze. It is you who is causing me harm. Perhaps sensing the absence of onlookers, Yi Qingqing unabashedly revealed her malice towards me. What of it? I sprinkled medicine in the classroom, deliberately provoking your heart condition. At this, her expression turned triumphant. You didn't see this coming, did you? I've long since taken your medication. And your wretched phone? That too was my doing. The instructor and the counselor targeted you on my behalf. They believed every word I whispered about you in their minds. It's a pity, though, that these 2 fools, much like the fickle classmates, still allowed you to remain standing in this classroom. In disbelief, I stammered, I have never wronged you. Why would you wish to harm me? Yi Qingqing looked down at me with disdain. Your existence obstructs my path. Savor your final moments on this earth. From this day forth, Bai Shuang shall cease to exist. A slow smile crept across my lips. I fear you may be disappointed. In the face of Yi Qingqing's shocked expression, I gradually rose from the floor. Aren't you supposed to be suffering from a heart condition? Why are you still alive? She exclaimed, bewildered. Coldly, I replied, if I were to do this, how could you ever confess to your wrongdoing?
Even
if I admitted it, so what? Are you truly capable of reporting me? You've suffered no harm. At most, I do receive a verbal reprimand. I scoffed, is that so? Just as my words fell, a group of individuals entered the room. The leading officer approached Yi Qingqing and handcuffed her. Yi Qingqing, you are under arrest for attempted murder. Panic washed over her. I did not attempt murder. I was merely joking with Bai Shuang. No sooner had she spoken than a slap resounded across her face. Mother, you struck me? She gasped in shock. Wang Yaolin looked at her with disdain. I am not your mother. You are the daughter of a nanny, a usurper of my daughter's identity. Bai Shuang is my true daughter. Yi Qingqing turned to Zhou Jiangwo, who offered her not a glance but instead stepped toward me, concern etched across his face. Shuang, you have suffered. Yi Qingqing, in disbelief, exclaimed, how could you possibly know that Bai Shuang is your daughter? I smiled at her. Thanks to you, I was able to reunite with my parents. After the reporter left that day, my grandmother revealed the truth of my heritage. I was not her biological granddaughter. She found me in a trash bin. Your face bears an uncanny resemblance to the person who abandoned me. Intuition informed me that this was the reason for Yi Qingqing's relentless targeting of me. Upon meeting her parents and seeing Wang Yalan's face, so similar to mine, I unraveled the truth. We conducted a paternity test, confirming I was indeed their daughter. It was then that Wang Yalan disclosed they had known for years that Yi Qingqing was not biological. They had been searching for me all along. This very knowledge instilled fear in Yi Qingqing, worrying that my return would jeopardize her status, prompting her repeated attempts to sabotage me. Despite this, they still did not believe Yi Qingqing had deliberately harmed me, which was why I orchestrated today's scenario. Aware that Yi Qingqing intended for me to perish from a heart attack, I deliberately granted her the opportunity. As anticipated, she not only drugged me but also absconded with my life-saving medication. As for the classmates who turned a blind eye, they had long been in cahoots with me. Their apparent departure was a ruse. They were actually hiding outside the classroom, eavesdropping on Yi Qingqing's confession of her treachery. Upon hearing my account, Yi Qingqing's face drained of color as she was led away by the police. 2 days later, authorities informed me they had discovered the reason we could hear Yi Qingqing's thoughts. It turned out she had acquired cutting-edge technology abroad, allowing her brainwaves to sync with ours, enabling us to hear her inner voice. However, experts had destroyed the device, ensuring we would never again hear her thoughts. In short order, Yi Qingqing was sentenced to 5 years for attempted murder. Meanwhile, my parents publicly announced the termination of their adoptive relationship with her. After much persuasion from my mother, I moved in with my grandmother. My parents expressed immense gratitude towards her, treating her with the care of family. For me, they sought to make amends for over a decade of absence. Before long, we became a true family. Observing my mother and grandmother bustling in the kitchen, I couldn't help but smile. In this life, I had finally rewritten the ending of my past. The end. Thank you for listening. Until we meet again in the next story.